Today's the standing call. We're going to be doing a quick proposal review in terms of what's active and what's coming. Thank you all for joining. My name is Rafa. For those of you who don't know me, I work on the governance team. Shelby is out of office today on holiday, so I'll be your host. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen, and what we're going to be doing today is going through a couple of different proposals and then gathering any questions that may be outstanding with regards to them. If you have other topics that you'd like to include in the agenda, just feel free to drop them in the chat, and then we'll be able to walk through them right afterwards. Okay. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. We have quite a couple different proposals and quite important ones actually. So to start, I think the team announced yesterday that the EVM interpreter upgrade is complete. This is huge news and really, really important for ZK Sync as a whole. What this means is that ZK Sync basically works with everything related to the EVM. This was a major pain point for builders and for partners because ZK Sync uses an Era VM, and using the Ethereum virtual machine is really important in terms of industry standards and accessibility for builders. The execution was successful, and this was activated on ZK Sync Era as well. So you can go ahead and test out deployment of EVM contracts and systems. One of the things that I'd like to mention here is that the way that this protocol upgrade works, which is called a version 27, is that this is a system-wide upgrade, and then individual ZK chains can decide to activate the EVM interpreter or not. So what we will expect over the next couple weeks is different ZK chains will activate the Era emulator, the EVM interpreter, sorry, and be able to deploy those contracts. So that's kind of the main execution update. I see Alicia has joined. Alicia, we're going through the different proposals right now. In addition to the EVM, there are 3 proposals on chain with voting starting tomorrow and then next week. The first proposal that is on chain is the third gap, which is an authorization for the Security Council to convert the recovered ETH into ZK from the incident a couple weeks ago. The Security Council has custody of 50-something million ZK, as well as near, I believe, 1,800 Ethereum. That Ethereum, the Security Council is going to convert to ZK. So buy ZK or convert it via other means in the best interest of the token assembly to try and recover all the ZK that was exploited during the incident. This is really important. A couple of details here is that this gap is an authorization. So what this means is, in the best interest of the token assembly is saying, hey, Security Council, yes, please go ahead and convert the Ethereum into ZK, and that's the primary component of the vote. There are 2 other on-chain. These are token programs. The first token program, oh, sorry, go ahead, Alicia.
Oh, I was just going to say, can we just see if anyone has any questions about the gap authorization? Because I know there were questions in the forum, and I don't know if any of those people are on the call, but yeah, if they want to raise any questions now.
Yep.
Anyone from the forum on the call? Oh, good.
Harvey, go ahead.
Hey, Alicia. Yeah, we actually dropped a comment. It was actually more out of curiosity, I guess, and wondering like what our options we had to use those Ethereum to go. We had the other proposal with the ZARP, and maybe we could use that same budget, right? Instead of, going through the whole process. I know we have the Security Council bylaws anyway. So yeah, the comment was on that tone, I guess.
Yeah, I quite literally, and if I can attest to this, but I quite literally had the same reaction that like you and a couple of other people did in the forum, which is like, why don't we just leave the funds as they are, because we could just use them for the ZARP or for any other upcoming TPPs. And then basically the way to think about it, and this is the model that I'm using now with this current gap, is that kind of like the law takes precedent, like the legal system takes precedence over any DAO governance system. And effectively, like, even if it is like the delegates wish to kind of take the pragmatic approach, I think was the wording that was used in the forum, from a risk perspective, like the best path forward is always to optimize for the least real world legal risk possible. And because the Security Council bylaws so clearly set out, like in the words that it uses specifically to like reverse and or mitigate and or it's like a bunch of different descriptors, any incident, and basically try to restore ZK Sync to the position that it was prior to an incident happening. That like once that kind of was circulated, that took precedent over a more pragmatic approach. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I'll just add on top of that, like, we did, I spoke to a couple of people while we were gathering feedback, and the Security Council was kind of proposing this specific action. And some of the feedback that we received too was that it might confuse people to see the funds used for something else that wasn't announced previously. So, for example, if we had a token program that was already on the forum discussion, then it might have made sense to say, hey, in the token program, we're going to amend it to use some of the Ethereum that had been recovered. But since no other conversations had taken place previously, then it would have convoluted the narrative to say, hey, we're going to allocate ETH to a different proposal, and then the discussion around what's the split, why is this the case, and it would have kind of confused it as well. So with that feedback in mind, simplifying as well the narrative of saying, look, like, we're going to restore per the bylaws the ZK, and then we can decide to allocate it afterwards in kind of like two steps, which are more easily understandable. That was also part of the feedback that was discussed. Great. I'm also curious if you guys have questions around the EVM upgrade. Also, we can pause here and add a couple of questions with regards to this. Just for developers on call, CreateX has also been deployed on Era, which means that protocol, like basically any protocol that leverage CreateX and EVM standard contracts across any other chain or Ethereum mainnet, they should, some minor caveats included, be able to get directly deployed without changes. No tooling changes or whatnot required. Great. Okay. So on to the next two. So we have two token program proposals. One, which is the Audit Reimbursements Program. If you haven't seen this, this is quite an important milestone in moving forward into sustainability from the token assembly perspective on reliable, predictable, and basically, decentralized protocol upgrade executions. There are two important notes for this. One is that this is an audit reimbursements process for ZK. So developers still need to basically complete the audits prior to the protocol execution, and this reimbursement only occurs after successful approval of a specific protocol upgrade. The reimbursement is also in ZK with the intention to align incentives long-term with developer organizations which are participating in the protocol upgrade process. This is an important step forward too, because it is a stepping stone in more automated disbursements of ZK as well. The way it's architected, which is the second point, is really elegant. Props to Alex Keating and the ScopeLift team who provided some advice on this. Whereas the CapMinter v2 framework basically allows the protocol governor to become owner of a specific token supply. And we can think about this program as kind of like an MVP for how potentially ZK disbursements tied to protocol upgrades could function in the future. The protocol governor, as an owner admin of CapMinter, can then activate ZK token allocations for different purposes in the protocol governor. For audit reimbursement specifically, that CapMinter is single focus and single use for audit reimbursements related to protocol upgrades. But in the future, there may be new ways in which the protocol governor may want to allocate tokens or other types of token utilities. So that's really exciting in terms of one step at a time. So while Ignite and the previous TPP around the extension of the airdrop for Aave were basically direct CapMinters for those programs, this creates two additional extensions into that CapMinter framework. One is the admin of that CapMinter is not a council of any sorts. It's actually the protocol governor with a pauser role of the assigned to the Security Council. And then the individual CapMinters which are submitted for future protocol upgrades are basically then assigning the minter role to the development organization which submits and gets successfully approved those protocol upgrades. So it uses the CapMinter nesting functionality as like a parent CapMinter for controlled by the protocol governor, and then child CapMinters for each of the individual protocol upgrades. So we're going to start seeing with this, should it pass, the continuation of the CapMinter framework coming to life, where we are dispersing, delegating rights as a token assembly for specific functions, but then those rights can be nested and further delegated down with additional CapMinters. Really exciting stuff. If you guys are a bit nerdy like I am around like the CapMinter framework, I'd encourage you guys to look at it. It's a really elegant solution, and basically means there's no type of like overhead requirement for this to happen. It just fits into the general flow of execution.
I saw there were some questions on this as well. I wonder if you can click on the link. Were there questions? Oh, right.
Oh, no, this links directly. Let me just check.
I don't know if anyone who had questions about this TPP is on the call.
Oops.
Oh, no.
Oh, we need to move it to the active TPPs. Yeah. Okay.
I guess like something to point out is this is the first, it's kind of the first TPP align, well, the way that I think about TPPs, I think I visualize this internally with Rafa, but basically there's like ops and infra and then like ecosystem and growth. And the Ignite TPP was like that ecosystem growth side, but this is kind of like the first ops/infra example, which is kind of interesting. And I thought I saw one of the questions that came up was related to, just like selling pressure.
There's one about market volatility.
Yeah. And I guess like the way that I think about this, and kind of like the first thing I did personally when I saw this comment, was I basically just like went and looked at the chart on Binance to see what the daily active volume was, as just like one example, obviously probably the largest, of like a centralized exchange, and compared to like the value of the program. And across two cap minters, it's basically like, if you think that a maximum of around like half of the given program can be minted at one time, but is unlikely, especially for the second half, to be sold at one time. Based on the numbers like that I saw, I thought that it would be very, very unlikely for this program to have any impact on like the sell pressure of the ZK token. But I'd love to know if anyone on the call like feels differently or has concerns and things like that.
Yeah, so one way to think about it is that if you have a daily volume of, let's say, 20 million USD in ZK swaps per day, that's basically like, I don't know, 4 million ZK. Sorry, I have to do the math. I think it's like 4 billion ZK. Yeah, 400 million ZK. So like that's per day. So it's very unlikely. So if you look at like market depth, like what that will actually impact like the market movements, it's very unlikely any proposal that has like 100 million, 200 million, even like 500 million over the course of a year to really have like a daily impact on the market. Because it's over like a full year process. Obviously, this is something that we need to monitor, and it's important to raise within the context of the overall market volume. But specifically for this one, I did reach out to the foundation team, who's much more aware of kind of like the market movements, given their role in the ecosystem oversight. And they confirm that based on the current depth and liquidity of the market, that proposals like this would basically be absolutely negligible in terms of kind of market movements. Obviously, take that with a grain of sand. I'm not a trader, but at least speaking to the people who are much more in tune with market dynamics, they were very, very confident, not like kind of confident, they were very confident this wouldn't have an impact. Now, with regards to the question on token allocation versus market volatility, the really cool thing about how this kind of cap minter process works with the audit reimbursements is that you're allocating one cap minter for future protocol upgrades per protocol upgrade. And so those cap minters should be calculated on like very near when the protocol upgrade is actually happening. What that means is that the proposal like has a certain allocated amount, and then the amount of ZK dispersed should be roughly in line with market movements within the period of time of the proposal like being executed. Now, if the price of ZK went up, whereas the initial budget like goes up, the great thing is that no new tokens get dispersed, right, unless a protocol upgrade gets like submitted. And because of how the cap minter v2 framework works, it has an expiration date of January of 2026. So even if you had excess budget, if you don't pass protocol upgrades, which are necessary for the system and that have a receipt, then the assets won't get dispersed, number one. Number two, the token assembly we can always pass a proposal to say, hey, the market has moved, this budget isn't appropriate anymore, and you can kind of deprecate the cap minter and like add a different cap minter that better aligns to the market conditions. I think if we think about the downside, which is if the token price went down and the budget gets constrained, well, those funds will get used, and then we as a token assembly would have to make another decision whether we wanted to allocate a new cap minter or if we think the program has run its course and no further audit reimbursements should be provided. So it's fairly tight in terms of the design.
I wonder, Ivy and Tino, if that satisfies like the comment, or if you had any comments.
Yeah, actually, that was the very exact comment we made. So it pretty much, solves the question. So yes, yeah.
For deactivating the cap mentors for TPP1 Ignite, we have a new proposal. So I'm personally very excited for this proposal because in a lot of like on-chain organizations, programs don't really get, properly kind of close a chapter and like say, okay, we did it, like, and we clean up. I think a lot of on-chain organizations kind of like leave the mess behind and kind of don't ask questions. This proposal really like deactivates the cap mentors for Ignite. This is a bit of a special situation though, because Ignite used the first version of the cap mentors. The cap mentor v2 framework has already been improved and was deployed in December, which not only has start and end dates, as we mentioned with the audit reimbursements, but it also has what we call a new function called cancel. So the administrative team of a new token program can basically call cancel on the cap mentor and say, okay, this program is over. The cap mentor v1 didn't have that process. And as a result of that, just to keep things clean and secure, the token assembly is being asked to revoke the role of minter from the cap minters that were allocated to Ignite. Fairly simple. You can check the call data with regards to it. This is good practice though, because in the future, if there is a token program that the token assembly believes that should no longer run, this is basically the type of proposal that would be passed. I was saying, hey, we're revoking the role, and we're sunsetting a specific program. So important rehearsal and also necessary because of the version 1 of the cap minter, which was deployed. Any questions with regards to that? Okay. Alicia, do you want to give a brief overview of ZK Gateway and kind of what's expected over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so the timeline for this going on chain has slipped basically over the last 3 weeks, first with the incident and then just with prioritizing the EVM work and getting that out the door. And so now that ZIP9 has been executed and ERA has been upgraded, the Meta Labs team who will be responsible for generating the call data for ZIP10 are working basically really hard to support other ZK chains so that they can upgrade. So I don't have a definitive timeline, but yeah, that's kind of the status of things, which is just the order of priority.
Great. Something that's really cool, I guess, and to think about, like, doing a bowl posting for ZK Sync is that, EVM now out the door, like, removes a significant like barrier for participation. And with Gateway, we add true interoperability across ZK chains, as well as significant performance enhancement. So the layer of kind of ZK Sync, the foundational tech, is really coming together. This in combination with, there'll be an announcement tomorrow around a new compiler that also increases performance significantly for smart contracts. So stay tuned for that. As well as Boojum 2.0, basically like with RISC-V bytecode, which is something Vitalik started talking about like last month. Well, ZK Sync is actually already deep in development, and we'll have that natively in later this year. So all these pieces are kind of coming together to really like create what I think about like version 2.0 of the protocol, probably, which is the EVM interoperability, and then the new circuit and bytecode components. So really exciting stuff from kind of the ZK Sync component. I mean, we haven't talked about private validiums too, which is like you can have like private ZK chains which are still interoperable. That's also, you know, absolutely groundbreaking tech. So really excited to kind of see all this come together. It's interesting being part of ZK Sync because I think ZK Sync did something a little bit different from a lot of other ecosystems, which we tried to get the tech right first. And a lot of the effort of R&D, which has been really intense, it puts us at the front in terms of capabilities, but it's really nice to see it all come together now and see it live after so many years of research and development in like completely new tech that with problems that hadn't been resolved. So super exciting stuff. Any questions with regards to the proposals with these? No. Okay. Well, I think that gives us a bit of an update of where we are. We should expect, we're still waiting on an update from the foundation team in terms of some of the additional proposals that they've been working with. I know that there's been some discussion around like, you know, how we think about protocol research and development. There's been conversations around, you know, how do we drive the electric network forward? I know Alex mentioned during ETH Denver the important focus on, you know, ZK Sync value prop for institutions, both public and private, and you know, who need the level of performance and the level of security that ZK Sync has. You know, trusting the math, can't be evil versus don't be evil type of vibes. So once we get that update, that will hopefully also provide a little bit more clarity in terms of what they're working on. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and watch out for the announcements for over the next couple days on the new Solex compiler. So with that, I think we can probably call the call to a close. Next week, I'm going to be working on a Minter mod presentation. So hopefully we'll talk about the Minter mod framework. We'll talk about new standards for how we can start daisy chaining the delegation of minting rights, and how anybody can create basically new Minter mods that are composable with the Cap Minter itself. Big props to Matt and the Factory Labs team who are working on triggers, and big props to Keating and the Scopelift team who have also been helping, yeah, like I said, create simple and elegant solutions. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Meron.